Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is 903 Sports. I am your host, Cameron Brown, joined by the boys, Hunter Shattuck, Mason Cudd, Jeffrey Yeager, and we'll get Trent Sansom on a little bit later once we start diving into college football. But we will start with the NFL today, a big slate of games this week. Let's start with the Cowboys, and then we'll get into some winners and losers. How about the Dallas Cowboys getting a little win over the reigning Super Bowl losers, the Cincinnati Bengals, who are now 0-2 and in a little bit of trouble themselves? But the Cowboys, Cooper Rush steps up to the plate, and he was decent, had a decent game. Cowboys ran the ball well. Defense played excellent. I think Dallas might have one of the best defenses in the league. So, Hunter, let me start with you. Where does the Cowboys meter go? Has it gone up? Is it still at the bottom? What do you think? Because Philadelphia looked good last night.
It had nowhere to go but up. So, yeah, it went up. And actually, in my notes here, I have defense could be elite. And obviously, Cooper Rush, I mean, he was the first thing you brought up. That's what everybody's talking about because, backup quarterback, he looks better than Dak, yada, yada, yada. But the defense won that football game. And, the Bengals, on the other hand, spent all the money on the offensive line this offseason, and they somehow got worse. I mean,
it's bad. They
couldn't have blocked this podcast. I mean, we could have been the defensive front for the Cowboys and got 3.5 sacks on Joe Burrow.
That'd be
so. I don't want to get too carried away talking about how good the defense looked because, I mean, it looked like some kids playing Red Rover on the Bengals offensive line. So I don't want to get too carried away, but defense looks incredible. And like we talked about last week, if we can just win a couple of games while Dak is out, we're not dead because the division's so bad. Philly looked good last night. We'll talk about that.
Really good last night.
Philly looked good last night.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I think I'm as encouraged as you can be when you're starting quarterbacks out for a few weeks.
Yeah, I was impressed. I thought, Dallas may get run over here, and this thing may get out of hand quickly. Season's probably over. Defense played well. Cooper Rush had 235 yards, 19-31, touchdown. Cowboys ran the ball efficiently. Offense was efficient. He kind of went stale in the second half. They did enough to win late. Big Maher kick late. So, Cud, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Where's your Cowboys meter at as of right now after Sunday's win?
Like Hunter said, it had nowhere to go but up, but obviously the defense played great. D-line destroyed the offensive line. 6 sacks were massive. But to me, it was the offensive game plan at the beginning of the game. I mean, we came out and scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. You couldn't have drawn it up any better, at least from a fan looking at it. So that was encouraging. I feel like with the first game, Kellen Moore tried to get a little too cute. I think this last game he went back to real basic. Just, hey, let's get some throws out of Cooper Rush's hands, get him dialed in, and I think it really worked. And then I was scared there in the third quarter with a couple 3-and-outs. We couldn't move the ball for nothing. I was like, oh, God, here we go. But then the defense was there the whole way, that saved us. So, yeah, it was a big win. We got Giants on Monday, so hopefully we can beat them and then kind of ease into the season.
Yeah, because I was talking to Cud Saturday night, and I said, man, if Dallas can't win Sunday, I mean, they really could be staring the eyes of being 0-5, 0-6 by the time Dak gets back. So that was a nice win. Team clearly hasn't quit. They haven't rolled over. There's plenty of fight left in that team, so that's good to see. So, Jeff, let me get you in here. Give me some winners and losers from this weekend, college football and NFL combined. What do you think? I know your BYU Cougars didn't have a very good outing.
I want to get in on this Cowboys take
here we go.
First. First off, they're still bad. They got away with one. It was lucky. The Bengals have been playing terrible. The Bengals line is still super bad. And they almost freaking biffed the clock again like they did in the playoff game. They almost biffed the clock at the end of the game.
They did. That was awful.
They had no timeouts, and they ran that little just dump off pass to the left sideline, and they hardly almost didn't get set. I think they had like 3 seconds left.
I thought a penalty.
And they were waiting for guys to get set, so they almost freaking messed that one up again. But I don't know what everyone's talking about. The Cowboys are going to be just fine. They're last in the division. They're behind the Commanders at 1-1 as well.
Through 2 games.
Only 2 games.
Yeah, and the Giants are 2-0, and the Eagles are 2-0, and they look good. Hey, if I had told you that through 2 games the Giants would be 2-0, what would you have said?
I wouldn't
before the
believe you,
season
but that
started.
doesn't mean they're any good. They're
Yeah.
still garbage. They still don't scare me.
I think the
Because the
Cowboys are going to
Panthers-
cowboy.
And the Titans.
I think the Cowboys are going to cowboy
All right, here we go.
for
Hold
the
on a
rest of
second.
the season.
I
They're going to
called you
go
out last
8-9,
year.
9-8.
I'm not going to put up with this Cowboys slander until you plant your flag on a football team, and you have to sit there and take it too. All right. So until you say this is my team, and we have somebody to rag you about, no more
I am-
Cowboys slander. None.
Yeah. That's only
I am
fair.
just the pod's honesty broker.
No,
much until
because
I
you
call
only
it
hate
Cowherd.
on the Cowboys. You only hate on the Cowboys. I won't have it.
Because everyone always, it's the same thing as like back in 2008 when Tony Romo would throw a touchdown to Des Bryant. Everyone would say, "We're going to the Super Bowl," and then they would go 8-8.
Hey,
I've seen it a million times.
Next,
I've seen it a million times. But moving on, biggest winner from the weekend, the San Francisco 49ers.
No doubt.
I hate to say it. It's one of those bittersweet
That's
things
tough.
where you feel terrible for Trey Lance because he's had a season-ending ankle injury. But honestly, like everyone could kind of see it from the litmus test that the team was clearly better with Jimmy G. And I think as soon as he stepped into the game, he went like 4 of 4 for like
Mhm.
70 yards and a touchdown or something like that. Like first drive, no problem, TD, like, and the team just swept them from there. So I think the biggest winner from the weekend, by way of, terrible befalling of Trey Lance's career, or at least the season, is the fact that Jimmy G has come back into the system and things look like they're going to be good. And they're doing what they're doing without George Kittle and Elijah Mitchell, who are both hurt, and have injuries that they're going forward on.
Think about this.
So the 49ers are my biggest winner from the weekend.
So the last time Trey Lance was playing quarterback full time, we had never heard of the coronavirus. So he didn't play his last year in college because of COVID. He didn't play last year because he was a backup. And now he's about to miss a whole nother season with this injury.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the years where you develop, right? He's how old is he? Probably 22, 23 years old. I mean, when you're in your early 20s as an NFL quarterback is when you grow and develop. And he's missing all of this time, all of it. And so, I mean, Yeager, you kind of said that it sucks to say that the 49ers are winners. I mean, it really, really sucks for Trey Lance because this could end his, like legitimately could end his career.
That was a bad injury.
Yeah.
You feel
And
for him.
I'm not saying end his career and that he'll never try and play again because of injury, but just he's missing all this valuable development time as a quarterback.
Right.
And like, we saw the steps that quarterbacks like Josh Allen have taken, and what I'm kind of hoping that Trevor Lawrence has taken. Seems like Tua has taken these leaps that Trey Lance just isn't going to get the opportunity to take. He hasn't played meaningful quarterback minutes in 3 years. So it really sucks to see him miss another season.
No, totally.
It's a tough
But
league
like-
for QBs. And they gotta. It's a good point, Hunter. They gotta get their feet wet. And I think I feel for Trey Lance. That was tough to see. I would agree that the Niners are a winner from the weekend because their QB went down and they still look incredible.
They looked better with Jimmy G.
Yeah, they look better.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I'd say my biggest winner from the NFL weekend is the 49ers, and the biggest loser, sorry,
It's
I
just
thought
so
we-
tough.
I would say my biggest loser definitely has to be the Tennessee Titans. They need to figure out what the heck's going on. I don't care like that you lost AJ Brown, like you still got guys out there at receiver who are running 4.5s, 4.6s, big old dudes that are paid to catch the football. Like it doesn't matter. Like the difference between AJ Brown and the next guy isn't so much that you should be 0-2 to the teams that you've lost to through 2 games in the NFL season, especially due to the fact that you still have a healthy Derrick Henry. You still have Ryan Tannehill, who is a very like capable quarterback. It's not like he's terrible. He's not fantastic, but he's not, he's going to give you a solid game every time. And I just think that they like something is definitely wrong with the Tennessee Titans.
I'm going to one up your loser, Yeg. One of my losers of the weekend is the AFC South in general. What a garbage division. The Texans are absolutely terrible. They play hard. They've been competitive in both games this year, but they don't have anything. Davis Mills is not the QB of their future. The Jaguars, honestly, might be the best team in that division, which is insane to think. The Colts are fire. The Titans look terrible. I mean, the Titans play the Raiders this week. They might be 0-3 right out of the gate. The Colts can't move the ball. If you get shut out by Jacksonville, that's a big problem. Matt Ryan had 3 picks. That offensive line doesn't look good anymore. The defense is kind of slowing down. They don't have many weapons. They can't create any space for Jonathan
It's
Taylor.
almost like Carson Wentz wasn't the only problem.
Well, it just seems.
I always thought.
Go ahead, Yeg.
I always thought that was a bad impulse decision by the owner after the season to get rid of Carson Wentz like that. Like, they were one game, they were just beating the Jaguars away from going to the playoffs. Sure, it's a bad beat to lose to the Jags in the last game of the season. Like, all that blame got put on Carson Wentz, but people they just have off weeks, and they happen to have theirs when it mattered most. I don't think that's Carson Wentz just clearly can't do it for us. Also, if you're going to say something like that, I don't think exactly going out and getting Matt Ryan is the most oh yeah, this is totally what we needed to replace Carson Wentz with to really make the turn. You can think of the perfect example of who did this the right way was the Broncos back in, what was it, 2010 or 2009, whenever Manning went over to their team. And because Tim Tebow had just gotten them to the playoffs, they won on that first play in overtime to Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace, and then they let Tebow go and they go get Peyton Manning. And so they, that was okay, well, yes, if we're going to get rid of our hero Tebow, Peyton Manning's the guy to replace him with, right? He's the man. And you get rid of Carson Wentz, who did a fine season for his first year under the helm. And then you go get Matt Ryan, and it's Matt Ryan, isn't he 41?
I just passed him up. It just
the Colts
in the pocket.
The Colts are a handful of games away from having Jonathan Taylor be the 2.0 version of CJ2K. Just a great running back that doesn't really get anywhere.
I'm telling you right now, and Trent would love this, the Colts are a couple bad games away from rolling Sam Ehlinger out there and seeing what he can do, because Matt Ryan cannot move back there. And Sammy's been balling in preseason the last 2 years. I know Sanson would love that tape. So I don't know, man. I mean, the Colts, I don't want to spend too much time in the AFC South. The Colts are in big trouble. Titans are in big trouble. That leaves the Jags the last man standing. It could be one of those years where a 7-10 team gets in the playoffs, which would just be wild. So, Cud, what about you? Let me get you in here. Give me a couple winners and losers from the weekend.
I'll do winners and losers in college, but I will say one thing about the winners in the NFL. I'm going to hype up my 3 Bama guys. Same quarterback room, all 3 dubs this Sunday. It's pretty cool. Okay, so college football losers, Auburn getting blown out at home. Penn State. I think the final score was 41-10. I mean, it wasn't even close.
They're horrible.
Yeah. So, and honestly now, Penn State, they had that tough week 1 win against Purdue, but it seems like they've kind of gotten in a groove and started getting dialed in. So it's interesting to see where they go. And then, sorry, Jeff, BYU getting mugged by the Ducks. I mean, they were number 12 at the time, and Oregon really looked to me pretty vulnerable. And Oregon played a good game. So
yeah, good Bo Nix showed up.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a tough loss for some of us on this pod, wasn't it, Cud?
Yeah. But a winner, I would say Washington at home against number 11 Michigan State. I thought that was a pretty good win for that program too. But yeah, that's who I got, winners and losers in college.
Hunter, before I give mine, I'm going to let you give a couple winners and losers, then we'll move on.
So, I mean, I've pretty much talked about most of them, or somebody has anyway. I'm going to talk about Cleveland. And I'm going to kind of make a big sweeping statement because, do y'all know who John Fanta is?
Yeah.
The Big East college basketball guy. So I follow him on Twitter, and he's a Cleveland guy. He's a Browns fan. God help him. And he tweeted after the game that, he's been through 0-16 seasons, 1-15 seasons, and none of them hurt as bad as this weekend for him. And I got to thinking about it. I was like, they're kind of, for the last couple of years, they've been on the way up. And then they have the Deshaun Watson situation, or I shouldn't say they did it to themselves, right? It's not like it was done to them. They did it to themselves, but they brought in this guy who they knew probably wasn't going to get to play. So now they're kind of suffering again. They have the Jets dead to rights, and somehow from the ashes, the Jets come up and win that football game. And to me,
What a
that
great
feels like
game.
one of those losses. Cameron, when you're coming out of a slump playing golf,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, you know what? I actually played decent yesterday. Maybe I'll have it today. You turn it even par. You're like, you know what? I think I'm doing all right. And you hit one out of bounds and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have it. You just fall apart after that.
Everything goes to crap. Yeah.
That feels like that loss this weekend for Cleveland. It feels like they're about to just disappear into irrelevance again for like the next 2 months.
Fine by me. What a great Sunday that was. So let me just dive into that. A winner from the weekend to me is historically bad NFL franchises. The Lions, Jags, and Jets all win this weekend. The Giants as well are playing well. Great Sunday for fans that have just been miserable for years watching their team get pummeled on Sunday. The second winner of the weekend is me. Tennessee and the Jets both winning in the same weekend. Y'all have no idea how rare that is. I mean, that happened.
How about this whole pod? Everybody won.
Great weekend for the pod, except for Jeffrey Yeager.
Jeff, wait, do you claim BYU? I thought you were a Texas fan primarily.
I am a Texas fan.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We all won.
Yeah.
I pull for BYU more by like just association
I feel it with you.
than
kinda have
actually,
to.
but like oh yeah, absolutely. But my blood is absolutely burnt orange. Like it's not even a question.
We all won.
That
It was
Ala-
903
that
Sports
Al-
Weekend.
Yeah.
That Alabama lost by a point. I actually like cried like a handful of tears. I'm not even kidding. I
don't know if
sat
I'd
in
say
my
that in
car.
public.
Been there.
I don't care. I was like, that video of that Philadelphia Eagles fan saying, I'm sick of this. I'm going in. Y'all are getting paid. I'm tired of being, a B word. I'm tired of watching this. That's what I felt after that Alabama-Texas game. I was like, gosh, freaking dang it. I was like, put me in at safety. I'll just go level somebody. I don't care if I throw my shoulder out, but I'm going to show these Texas boys how to tackle,
Well, Sark, just get on the phone and recruit Jeffrey Yeager 2023.
Dude, I might.
Has
I'll
some
just come
eligibility
look. I'll
left.
try.
Yeah.
I have all 4 of my years. And hey, I pack a mean punch.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Let me finish my winners. I'm going to go ahead and say third winner of the weekend. As much as it pains me to say, I'm going to say Texas A&M is a winner from the weekend. Cub, we were at the game.
You think?
I do think
No.
so. I thought that was a pretty big bounce back win. I know Miami's probably not as good as we thought they were, but
heaven have
follow that
mercy.
up with beating number 13 in the country after you just had probably one of the worst losses in the history of the program. You lose to App State at home as a 19-point favorite. I know App State's a pretty good team, but they also just had a Hail Mary. Here comes Trent. They also had a Hail Mary to beat Troy. So, I mean, look, A&M is not – I don't think they're a great football team by any means. But to follow up that loss, beating Miami at home, I think you got to be winners of the weekend. Plus,
That was a game they had to win. That was a game they had to win.
Back
And-
against the wall. If they'd have lost that game, their season would have been completely over.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
they would have
Like,
been 4-8.
They're
Yeah.
winners in the sense that they didn't lose, but I don't know if they should come away from this weekend feeling great. Now,
Yeah.
Aggie fans aren't the most reasonable of people, so they probably
No.
will come away from this weekend feeling great. But Max Johnson, to me, I watched the game. He does not look like a good quarter. I mean, I know he's fine, but he's got a lot of he has a lot of Kellen Mond in him, right? He's good enough, but he's never going to be the quarterback that you need. And Jimbo's offense is just it's so boring to watch.
It is.
I mean, football as a game is pretty slow, and I've talked about that a little bit. It's a slow game. Watching Jimbo coordinate an offense, it's miserable. I'd rather watch ballet, anything. It's terrible.
That defense is pretty nasty, though, in College Station.
Defense is good.
One of the best.
Well, that's another argument. I'm coming off them being a good defensive team. They don't impress me much.
Defense looked pretty sharp Saturday, Sansom.
There's no reason Miami should have lost that game. They did it to
they did.
themselves. They outdid. They had 27 first downs and didn't score a touchdown. They outgained them on the ground through the air. They were a muffed punt away and 2 missed field goals away from blowing them boys out.
Trent, that's
That
That's
sounds
not
like
horrible. That's the
sounds
facts.
like
If you
when-
look at the box score, You couldn't tell me that A&M beat that team if you just look at the box score.
You can literally look at every game and say, well, if we would have done this and that and that, we
That's
would have
true.
That's
Are you
the
talking
Jeffrey
about
Yeager.
A&M versus Miami?
That's the Jeffrey
Yeah.
Yeager. I shot 82,
That's-
but if I wouldn't have had those 3 putts, I'd have shot even.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Hunter. Exactly what I was gonna say.
All I'm saying,
You
I'm
want to
not
know?
saying
You
that
want to know what
A&M
that's called? Being retrospective.
That's
Yeah.
always
Look.
looking at the positives, Jeff. Always.
Correct.
Good.
That's why I
All
had the
I'm
best
saying-
mentality.
All I'm saying is that if you look at the box score, A&M still only had like 240 yards of offense, and Miami
Trent,
had
I'm with you.
370.
They did not look good. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I'm pushing back on Cameron saying they're winners, because that football
No.
team still did not look good. They were
No.
What were they ranked in preseason? Number 6, number 7? That was
Yeah, somewhere right in there.
that was not a
You
football
want to know?
team.
You want to know why A&M won that game? Because the Vegas gods wanted to see that 25 leg parlay hit. That's why.
Did that guy have
Somebody
Miami
hit-
at A&M in his parlay?
He
Yeah,
had A&M minus 6.5, and that was the final leg of that parlay.
Wait
to
a minute.
turn
Somebody
$7
hit
in.
a 25 leg parlay.
Yeah.
Y'all
Yeah.
didn't see this?
I did.
There was a guy that put a 25 leg just on a bunch of college football stuff on Saturday. So he woke up in the morning, bet $7 on a 25 legger, and hit it for $1 million.
That's crazy.
Why not us?
But you want to know? You want to know the worst? You
Our
want to know
time's
the worst
coming.
part of it? You
What?
want to know the worst part?
There
of
is
it?
no
He
worst
pulled
part
out.
of it.
No, he
Is
pulled out.
after the 24th leg, they offered him $250,000 to buy out, and he took it. And then the 25th
Oh.
leg hit for the $1 million.
I didn't think. No, I saw that he let it ride.
No, he took it. He took the money.
He still won $250,000 on a $7 bet. I think he's doing all right.
Yeah.
If that's
I know,
if
but if
that's
you
the
get-
worst
if-
thing that happens to you on a Saturday, you're okay. It's all
Yeah.
right.
He's weak. You always let it ride in that right cut.
Let it ride. It's only $7. It's
Yeah.
only $7.
What a win. All right, we got to
You know
move
how
on.
mad you'd be if you didn't pull it though, and it
Yeah,
didn't
right.
hit.
It'd be
If
Gosh,
the-
can you
A&M's
imagine
my
putting-
last leg, I'm pulling. Trust
Can
me.
you imagine letting $750,000 ride on Aggie football?
Never.
that is true.
Oh,
With
that
the
makes me
team
wanna throw
that-
up.
That's what all the boosters are doing with their NIL money.
Okay, we got to move on. I want to talk. I got one more thing on NFL. We'll go to college. The Buffalo Bills are the real freaking deal, man.
Mhm.
I mean, they
Yeah.
look
Oh, they're
unbelievable. I mean, I think are we all in agreement that's your Super Bowl favorite right now?
Yeah,
I'd
they
go as
stay
far to
healthy.
say that if they don't make the Super Bowl, it's probably a bad season.
It's going to be them and the Chiefs collision course is what it looks like. AFC
That's the only reason I'm going to push back is I picked the Bills in preseason. Like they're still my pick to win the Super Bowl, but I don't think we can crown them yet because the Chiefs still have Patrick Mahomes, and until they beat the Chiefs in the postseason, I'm not going to feel confident. So that's the only thing I'm going to say. The Bills look like the better team for sure, but I just don't trust them to beat the Chiefs already.
Josh Allen.
I don't know, man.
So fast, man. And he's playing so well. That defense is flying around. The only thing about the Bills, they don't run the ball very well at all. They still
Not at
count.
all.
So that's
Look,
a
y'all-
big issue for them.
You know who you need to watch out for in the AFC, like when it comes down to those last 4 or 5 games just coming out of, hell like a bat, is the Baltimore Ravens.
No, their defense is terrible.
Yes. Their defense is terrible because they got a bunch of rookies, and as the season progresses, they will learn. But Lamar Jackson looks like MVP Lamar Jackson again. I mean, he's running just around teams in circles again, and he's throwing the ball great, and he's still got a great connection with all his receivers. I tell you, you need to look out for the Ravens come down to the end of the season.
Who wins MVP if you had to pick right now between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson?
But taking Josh.
Josh Allen.
Okay. But I don't know, you just said Lamar looks like MVP Lamar, so I had to ask.
Lamar is.
No, I'm
balling.
saying, like, do you remember when he was MVP?
No,
how
no,
he was,
I
like,
get what you're
scrambling?
saying, but it
And
made
then
me
the
think of the
next
question.
year, then the next year it looked like he was running with his shoelaces tied together. And now it looks like, he kind of brought that MVP season back from the grave in the way he's doing it. But I'm telling you, Josh Allen's on a whole nother level. But I'm saying, like, in the AFC, I'm telling you right now, in the AFC, if you have to play Baltimore in that wild card weekend or that next weekend, that's one of those teams where you're like, hey, I don't want this to be our path to the Super Bowl. Kind of like Texas Tech every year in
Wait.
March Madness. Like,
Their
you don't
defense
want to
is
have
good.
to play them.
Defense
Here's the
is too
deal.
bad.
Here's the deal. Josh Allen's a better
I don't-
quarterback than Lamar. The Bills have a better defense. The Bills have better skill players, and the Bills they'll have home field advantage almost certainly. So I get what you're saying about Baltimore. They're a good football team. I wouldn't want to have to play them, but I mean, the Bills would be significant favorites if I'm setting the line in that matchup.
Probably an 8-point favorite there.
Yeah, in January in Buffalo, I'm taking the Bills.
Hey, come back on this pod in December. We'll see where everything's at.
All right.
Let me.
I like my pick.
So
In
speaking
fact,
of
I might put my flag in Baltimore, Maryland.
Speaking of the Ravens, I want to touch one more thing on NFL and we go to college. I would like to formally apologize to Tua, whatever his last name is.
Yes.
Of the Dolphins.
Yes.
I clowned them all summer. I clowned Tua and the Dolphins, said they ain't scaring nobody. I don't care if they got Tyreek Hill. The Ravens defense is a disgrace for that showing. I mean, how you lose Tyreek Hill it just makes zero sense to me.
It makes a lot of sense to me. He's pretty quick. I mean,
he's fast.
It's not like it's me running routes out there.
It's not a guy that needs to be. I mean, there's no one near him. Like before he catches the ball, he's wide open.
I mean, doesn't he run like a 4-2-1 or something like that?
That's not the point I'm trying to make. Is he should never be that wide open. There should be double teams. There should be people near him. You should never lose sight of him. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. He was wide open the whole second half. I mean, the Ravens
got a question.
Terrible. So I would like to apologize to Tua. I think the Dolphins are very good. He threw for almost 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. You don't see that in the NFL ever.
So I don't want any analysis here. I just want a 1-sentence answer around the horn here. Was Sunday a view into the future for Tua, or was it a total fluke? Like a year from now, are we going to say, wow, do you remember that game against Baltimore? That was the start of something? Or are we going to say, wow, do you remember that game against Baltimore? How did he do that?
I'm going to say it's a start of something. And I'm still not buying that Tua's an insane QB. He's good. He's serviceable.
We don't need to spend too much time on this.
They got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle out there. I mean, those are some serious weapons.
Cud, what do you think?
I think it's definitely a good look into the future. I mean, not only did they trade for Tyreek Hill, but they signed a bunch of people in the offseason, got a better O-line. I mean, they basically put him in a situation where if they can't get it done with this team, then he's not the right guy. So I think it's definitely looking the future.
Jeff?
He needs to do it about 4 more times for me to think he's actually onto something.
I agree. He's had one good quarter. I mean, what did they had scored 14 points through 3 quarters, and then he went off, and now everybody's anointing him. I'm going to push back on that just a little bit. So
I'd like to see more as well, but that was a pretty big time performance.
As of now, I'm calling it a fluke until further notice.
All right, let's move on. Actually, before we go to college football, Cud, how about a Cubs? Who the hell are you? A little intermission here before we get some more football.
Oh, I thought this was at the end of the segment.
No, in between football here.
Okay, so this week's Who the Hell Are You? We have 3.
Oh.
The Browns, the Raiders, and the Ravens. The Browns go up 13 with 2 minutes to go. And then, they met Cade York. He was getting praised all week. And then he misses an extra point that turns out to cost him the game. So, I mean, it's just flat out embarrassing. Not because they're playing the Jets, Brown, but you can't give up 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes, including an onside kick. That's just ridiculous.
Hey, Cud, you can do a full play-by-play of how that game ended if you'd like to. I wouldn't mind at all.
That was a good win for the Jets. But
Great
then,
win.
we touched on the Dolphins-Ravens game. But you get outscored 28-3 in the fourth quarter. That's just unacceptable. That's just horrible.
NFL is terrible.
Yeah. Then how about the mighty Raiders of Las Vegas? They get outscored 29-3 in the second half, and including overtime. I mean, the Cardinals couldn't even move the ball the first half. They looked horrible. I think I was texting Cameron the whole time saying the Cardinals season's over. And then all of a sudden, they let them crawl back in. And then, at the end of the game, you're like, how in the hell did the Raiders just lose this game? So, yeah, all 3 of those games, they were awesome to watch, especially being unaffiliated with all 3. But yeah, there were crazy endings and just unacceptable losses for those teams.
Yeah, how the Raiders blew that game was 23-7, like 6 minutes to go. The Browns blew it. I mean, those were 3 pretty wild collapses on Sunday. That was pretty good entertainment for some Sunday football.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So who the hell are you, Ravens, Raiders, and don't forget those Browns after blowing it to them New York Jets. Don't let the Jets get hot. All right, let's move on to college football. What a massive week of college football we have coming up. Tennessee, Florida's got game day. I'm already a nervous wreck for that game. Clemson at Wake Forest is a sneaky good game at 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
Wake Forest could sneak up on them. The Longhorns better watch out for Texas Tech going to their place. Dangerous place to play always. I know it's not at night, but that's a tough place to win. So, Trent, I'm going to let you jump in. What are we looking forward to the most this Saturday at college football? Oh, he's still maybe having technical difficulties. Okay, Jeff, we'll improvise here. You go ahead. What are we looking forward to the most this weekend?
What else but the burnt orange, baby? Let's go Horns. They're honestly, I've looked at Texas Tech. They're 2-1, but I think they beat Houston in double overtime by a field goal, and then I don't even remember. They had a couple of overtime wins, and then finally just had one normal win against some random team. I don't even know, but Texas might beat them by 30. I really I might watch the first half of that game, watch Texas go up 28, and then just turn it off and just sit back and pound a Mountain Dew.
Another big game this weekend is A&M Arkansas. That's they always put on when those two get together. Also,
I hope A&M loses.
Upset of the weekend. USC Trojans on the road in Corvallis at Oregon State. I told y'all in the summer, Oregon State's got a ball club this year. They're undefeated. They're hosting the Trojans. Watch out for those Beavers. That team's got so much grit. They can play. Beavs at home. Watch out for them. That place is going to be rocking on Saturday night.
What's the line of that game?
It's good. Beavs are catching 6.5 at home.
Yeah.
Watch out for those Beavers. They're going to be playing hard on Saturday. I'm a big fan of the Beavs. 2:30 though, Tennessee, Florida. My favorite game of the year. I get up for it. Tennessee's a big favorite for the first time, literally in my lifetime, over Florida's.
Yeah.
Hope we have a good showing. Hendon Hooker looks unreal. I'm excited. Offense has been clicking. This is Tennessee's coming out party. If we can come out here and blow out Florida, watch out. This team could have something special. I'm not calling a national championship or anything, but I really think this team's got something clicking in Knoxville. And for them to, man, don't let them beat Florida and LSU and get Bama coming to town at 5-0. Just don't let that happen. Also, Baylor plays Iowa State on the road, Hunter. You got some interest in that game. That's going to be a very nice game at 11 o'clock.
Yep.
I'm excited. I mean, it's a great Saturday college football, man.
Yeah,
so
we deserve it after last weekend. Last weekend's one of the worst college football slates I can ever remember.
Oh, yeah, it was bad. It was not good. I mean, A&M Miami was really the only ranked versus ranked game, wasn't it, outside of Oregon BYU?
Yeah, those were the only two.
And Oregon boat race BYU. And Penn State Auburn was another big game, and Auburn got absolutely drilled.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move the tone a little bit. We talked about how good the Bills look in the NFL. How good do the Georgia Bulldogs look right now, Cut? I mean, they are rolling. I know South Carolina's not very good, but they stomped them. So, Cut, how in the world would they keep looking better every
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I figured they'd be pretty good ball club this year. I mean, the way Kirby Smart's got that program going, along with all the recruits coming in, they just pick up right where they left off, And, usually, even though it's, big time recruits, usually it takes the first couple games to kind of get acclimated with new guys. And because, hell, they lost like half their team to the NFL draft last year, including both sides of the ball. So, no, yeah, they look incredible. They made South Carolina look completely lost. I think South Carolina had like 4 turnovers or something. It was
it was awful.
They got bulldozed from the very jump. So, yeah, Georgia is on a head-on collision with, the SEC championship and the playoffs.
Yeah, Georgia looks good, man. Stetson Bennett, early Heisman favorite, I think right now. He's playing really well. Georgia looks nice. So, Hunter, let me ask you this. Being the college basketball guy of the pod, how about the Blue Bloods in college football? UCLA, Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina. I know we only played 3 games, but everybody's undefeated. And that Kansas-Duke game this weekend is quietly one of the better games of the weekend, believe it or not.
Kansas and Duke play each other?
Yeah, they play this weekend. That was an option for game day this weekend, believe it or not, that I was reading.
No.
It was. Both
That's incredible.
Solid. Kansas got a quarterback, Jalen Daniels, I believe is his name. That kid can play. They just stomped Houston in their place. Houston's no slouch of a football team. So Kansas could be a sleeper in the Big 12. And Mike Elko, former, I don't know if he was A&M's OC or DC former A&M coach. He's got Duke playing really well right now as well, following some bad years that Duke's had the last 5. So watch out for the little blue bloods in football this year. Are they turning the tide, Hunter?
I don't know. Last year we had the March Madness of the Blue Bloods with the Blue Blood Final Four, and I guess the football teams just kind of carried it on. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the football playoffs going to be a bunch of Blue Bloods. Who could say?
UCLA, Kansas, Duke, and Kentucky in the college football playoff. That'd be terrible. So, Sansom, you got your technical difficulties back?
Yeah, I was having some issues.
Of course. Sansom versus technology has always been such a battle.
Well, he didn't grow up with TV, so.
That's
Trent,
true.
Let me get your take. What are we looking forward to most this weekend in college football?
There's a lot of good games on the slate.
Really?
I think there's a lot of chances for a lot of upsets, actually. I think Wake Forest and Clemson is going to be a great one.
That place can be packed.
Yeah. I think Sam Hartman was back last week, wasn't he?
He's back. He's back 2 weeks ago.
Good. He's back 2 weeks ago? Good. So he got some games underneath his belt.
Wake Forest is going to win that game.
I would love to see it because Clemson's offense. And until they go to Cade Klubnik, they're going to struggle.
This is where you see it this weekend. Wake's going to be up at half. They're going to Klubnik in the second half. You watch.
Yeah, I agree. So if Wake Forest, this could be the game where Clemson starts to look like a top 3 team to me. Like to me, they're ranked number 5 and they have a great defense, but that offense with DJ running it is just it's almost as bad as Aggie right now. It's not good.
It's a turning point game. It's a turning point
game.
Either
I think we'll find out a lot about Clemson. I could be wrong on DJ, but so far, man, I have not been impressed with what I've seen from him.
Yeah.
Especially being number 1 player coming out of high school. Got to be better than that.
No doubt.
I think we're going to watch a absolute waxing of Florida this weekend.
Trent, talk dirty to me.
I'm thinking Tennessee is going to beat the living breaks off it.
Hey, us being minus 11 scares me, man. That's too many points. It's a rivalry.
I don't think so, man. Florida is not. After watching this Utah, I thought they're going to be a good team, and I thought Anthony Richardson could play some ball. Now maybe he's been looking forward to Tennessee the last 2 weeks, but I mean he is not throwing a touchdown yet. He's thrown a lot of interceptions.
Huh?
His completion percentage is terrible.
The Bulls.
Yeah, they barely beat South Florida at home. They should have lost. Just like, I mean, you can go back and say, oh well, you can't go back and say, well, if you did this, but the South Florida had the ball like on the 20 and had a snap go through the guy's hands, lost 20 yards, and then had a terrible hold, and the guy still almost made the kick.
Right.
And the game's at Rocky Top. You got game day there, as
it's
you should
already
be.
sold out.
Yeah, they got the checkered. They're gonna have the checkerboard going in the stadium. It's going to be – Hendon Hooker can play some ball. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks.
This is the biggest Tennessee game that I can remember since, probably the last 6 years.
It's been a long time coming. I mean –
we haven't been good in the last 5 years.
No, y'all have only won once in the last – how many?
Isn't Tennessee ranked 11?
Yeah, we're 11. We beat Florida. We're getting that top 10. And then we go to Death Valley in 2 weeks right after that.
Oh, y'all are going to wax them in Death
Down
Valley?
to LSU?
And we go to LSU in 2 weeks.
Brian Kelly, he needs to, figure out what he's doing. They rebounded bad.
Pretty nicely against Mississippi State. I got to give them credit. I was ready to write them off for the year, and that might.
How about Coach O getting
around?
How about Coach O getting $17.5 million to leave the facility?
That's what happens when you win a national championship. They'll pay you pretty nicely on your way out. Things get bad. So, I hope you're right, Trent. I hope we beat the doors off Florida because that could be Tennessee's coming out party this year. I think that'd be awesome.
I'm going to make a prediction. I think y'all win by 3 touchdowns.
Oh, I would just love it.
That's my favorite game of the week is Tennessee.
I would be unbearable if we won by 3 touchdowns on Saturday.
What about Texas Tech and Texas, Trent?
It depends on who. I think we win no matter what, but it's going to be, they've already sold out. Texas Tech hasn't sold out a game since 2018, and they're going to be 60,000 strong. And don't get me wrong, 60,000 is not a lot, but that's 60,000 Red Raiders. That's 60,000 West Texans out there. Yeah. Those people are crazy. So
that's not an easy place to play.
No,
it's not about numbers. Oklahoma State has a small stadium, and that's about as rowdy as it gets. It's not about numbers. It's about
bro.
Same with BYU, man. I went to the Holy War last year, and BYU was rocking.
I was up till 2 a.m. watching them scream the other night.
Speaking of BYU, did y'all hear that Oregon was chanting "F the Mormons"?
Oh,
Their student
no.
section.
I never
Did y'all
heard
hear
that.
that?
No.
Oregon had a recruit that's a quarterback recruit that's an actual Mormon. He's like a Polynesian guy, and him and his family got up in the third quarter and left the game.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
and Oregon, a lot of those West Coast guys they're Mormon. You know, you get
It's
and so they're going to have a hard time recruiting after
That's
that.
rough.
I
That's
never
rough.
heard about that.
I did
Yeah,
not.
it was bad. It was really bad. I mean, it's kind of not getting the exposure it should. I mean, we all know if there was any other religion, people would be going crazy saying, "Oh, you got to do some kind of investigation." And I'm not even asking for that. But that's a terrible look.
That ain't good.
For Oregon.
That ain't good.
No, especially when you got a big time recruit on campus. That's a Mormon.
Yeah, read the room.
What
Read
are
the
we
room.
doing? But anyways, the other game I think is going to be an upset game is I think Washington State's going to beat Oregon this week. I'm not a believer in Oregon at all.
No.
Bold play.
I think Washington State's going to get them.
They're
Where
not.
is it?
Washington State's very good, Trent. I think Wisconsin's just
They're
that
not
bad.
good. The
Well,
I
a
don't
lot
think
of-
Oregon's that good.
I think
I
No,
think they had their
Oregon-
first big home game. First, they were a good opponent, and they got up for it, but we'll see.
I think Oregon's a 9 or 10 win game. I think Georgia was just that good, and that's just a bad matchup.
Well, you know what's weird to me is Sanford played Oregon the closest so far this year. Out of all the games they played Oregon, South Carolina, and Sanford. And
Sure did.
Sanford kept it
Lost
closer
by
than both
30
those
No,
squads.
Trent is right though about the student section messing up recruiting. Like all the Polynesians. Like I don't know if
Yep.
y'all know this, but Penny Sewell is a member of the church. And like once one Polynesian goes somewhere and has
Yep.
success, it's like all of them like, hey, we are family tied to this school. So like, and like you wouldn't know it, but Polynesians are some of like the most like prideful about being members of the church. Like
Yeah.
if you say anything bad, like they get really upset. Like Oregon might have a lot of like trouble on their hands getting anyone to follow Penny Sewell's steps from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, I think like 25% of their team is, I would think, Polynesian.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
Yeah.
a quarter of your team that. I mean, I would imagine actually just now think I can't even think of this earlier. They've got to have Mormons on their team.
Oh yeah.
You would think.
So
Yeah.
just not a good look.
Well,
And then
I don't know if y'all know this, but Tanner McKee, the quarterback for Stanford, he's a member of the church and also my second cousin. Fun fact.
I didn't know that. I
that's
remember
right,
didn't
Jeff.
know
I
that.
did remember you saying that.
Uh,
And then the other game I got my eye on was Arkansas and A&M. I
Oh,
think.
Let me
I
guess. You're
think
picking
is
Arkansas.
gonna- what's that?
You're picking Arkansas. That's my guess.
Yeah.
is Arkansas
further
good?
notice,
I don't
until
know
I see
anything
some-
about them this year.
Well, they got that KJ Jefferson, which I'm a big fan of. He can play.
Yeah, they got a good
KJ
team.
Jefferson's a good player. And I don't know about their defense this year. I don't know if they've lost. I remember they had Bumper Pool and Jalen Catalon. I don't know if those guys are still there, but if they are, then Arkansas's defense is supposed to be as good as they were last year. Then I think Arkansas could win that game by a lot. But they got to come ready to play. And then the last upset game I have on my radar is Kansas State, Oklahoma.
Kansas State's terrible.
Yeah.
That's wishful thinking.
All I'm saying, just hear me out.
They just lost.
Kansas
to
State has
Tulane.
won, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, Kansas State has beaten them at OU the last 4 times they've played at OU.
They have.
So, and this team is better than those teams.
No, they're not. They
Yes,
just lost to
this team
Tulane.
is better than those teams. That's
No,
a
they're
classic
not.
letdown game. We don't know how good Tulane is. What is Tulane? They 3-0?
Should be better than Kansas State.
Hey, all I'm saying is why can't Tulane be
Wave Sansom.
just hold on, just hear me out. Just hear me out. Why can't Tulane be as good as App State or UTSA or Houston? We don't know that yet. It's early season. They might be a good squad. I'm not saying they should lose to Tulane. All I'm saying is when you're sandwiched, you got Missouri one week, right? They played Missouri last week.
Beat the snot.
They beat the brakes off of Missouri, the mighty SEC team. Well,
Oh, here
they
we
beat
go.
the dog out of Missouri.
Picking
all
on
I'm
the worst
saying-
team in the entire conference.
No, that's Vanderbilt. You got a lot worse teams than
Vanderbilt's better than Missouri.
No.
Missouri's worse.
Missouri
no.
belongs in the freaking MAC.
That's true. But all I'm saying, there's a lot of teams that deserve to be in the MAC. But
Nebraska.
that's a classic game. Cameron, what were you telling me? You told me this week, you said, man, thank goodness we had Akron before
That's
Florida,
true.
or we could have had a letdown game.
That's true.
Yeah. So, and I think that's why Texas kind of came out sluggish against UTSA. Even though I think UTSA is a good ball club, Frank Harris is a great quarterback. You come out and you piddle pat around, and all of a sudden you're down 10 to UTSA, giving me a heart attack.
Those spots are tough.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is they could have been looking forward to OU, and I wouldn't put it past them. I'm still not sold on OU.
Now they've put a massive air in their tire for the season, go out and lose to Tulane.
It's okay.
And Adrian Martinez is their quarterback, so he ain't going to take him very far, is he, Cut?
No.
Maybe not.
You talk about bad. Anyway, so any closing thoughts on – actually, Trent, one more. You forgot your biggest game of the weekend. Second biggest game of the weekend. Oregon State Beavs against USC. Corvallis is going to be popping on Saturdays.
I want to be a believer so bad. I want the Beavs to win so bad.
The trains left the stations too late. Jump on now. When
I'm off it. I jumped off. I was on the train. I was the conductor of the Beavs train. I've been on the Beavs forever, and then I jumped off this week.
You just jumped off. You ain't getting back on. I'm not letting you on. I'm the conductor of the Beavs train.
We're going too fast. We're going too fast, Brown.
Got too much heart. They're gonna. I'm telling you, I don't know if they're gonna win, but they're gonna give USC all kinds of hell.
I agree with you. I think so, man. Listen, I would love nothing more for the Beavs to win that game. I mean, that's going to be rocking. You got Corvallis at 9:30, or I guess 7:30, 7:30, but 9:30 our time. It's going to be a late night game.
USC ain't played nobody. They blew out Fresno last week, but Jake Hainer broke his leg in the second quarter.
Oh,
so
that's why. Okay, I was looking at that score and I was like 45-17, man.
It was a blowout, but he broke his leg in the second quarter. And Fresno's a pretty decent team. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you, USC ain't played nobody yet. Oregon State's going to give them problems. So, all right, let's move on. I want to get a little golf talk in, and we'll close it out this week. President's Cup is this week out of nowhere. I didn't even know until Sunday. That's sad on my part. So President's Cup coming in. USA, Hunter, what are our expectations this week for the President's Cup?
It's not a matter of if the U.S. is going to win. It's a matter of by how many points. And we were talking the other day, and if it were up to me, I would set the line at 4.5. Like if I had to set a line for this, it'd be USA minus 4.5, and I still might take the US. We've lost some of the guys. The US team has lost some of the guys to Liv, DJ. I guess that actually would he be the only one
that we lost? We lost Koepka, Bryson, and DJ.
Oh yeah, forget about Koepka and Bryson. Of course, they hadn't done nothing this year, even before they left. But anyway, we added Cam Young. He's on the team. Sam Burns is on the team. Will Zalatoris is on the team.
Max Homa, hottest golfer in the world.
Max Homa's on the team. I mean, that's how good U.S. golf is right now. Is we can lose Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, and Bryson DeChambeau, and I would say those 4 guys that we added are playing better golf right now than the other 3. And it's a real bummer that Cam Smith is at Liv, because he would have been the International's best player, and that would have made it a little bit more interesting. He would have played every match, or I guess everybody in the Ryder Cup or in the President's Cup plays every match, so never mind there. But he would have been big for the Internationals. But, man, I just don't think they stand a chance. And it's kind of a bummer. But to me, it feels like the President's Cup has almost turned into a dress rehearsal for the Ryder Cup, right? Like if you've never played a Ryder Cup before and you're a young guy, maybe they bring you in and play a President's Cup like they did with JT. He didn't get picked. I think it was for the 2014 Ryder Cup. Then he played the 15 President's Cup, or maybe it was a couple years later. But he should have been on the Ryder Cup team. They didn't bring him because he was young. Then he played the President's Cup the next year, played great, and he's been on every team since. And that's kind of how they treat it, right? I mean, I think we're going to see the same thing with Will and Cam Young and Sam Burns. They're playing the President's Cup, and I don't see anybody booting them off the Ryder Cup team next year. So U.S. golf is in a great spot, and it would just suck to be from Europe right now.
Oh, man, we are going to absolutely own Europe for years to come. And I want to say this, and I'll get Jeff and Cut in here. I hate to be this guy, and I love golf, but the President's Cup just does not move the needle for me, because it is just, and I'll watch it. I mean, I'll probably watch more football, to be honest, but I love our guys. I'm rooting for them. But I mean, we win every year. I mean, and we're supposed to win. And if we don't, it's looked at as how the hell did that happen? And it's not really fair to the international guys, because they got some great players over there. But we are, I think, without a doubt, the favorite to win this week. And it just doesn't move the needle for me like the Ryder Cup does. There's no
I'll say this
there like the Ryder Cup.
I have sources. Here we go. Breaking news, 903 Sports. I have sources that say that Asian men's golf is taking off the way that Asian women's golf took off several years ago.
Really?
So, this young dude, Tom Kim, that won?
Oh, he's a stud.
My sources say he's the first of the wave.
Wow.
And so I don't know if that's going to come to pass, but that would give some life to the President's Cup. You get great golfers coming from other parts of the world. And I mean, I would love to see it. I think that's cool. I think that's
good for the game.
I think that's one of the coolest things about golf, professional golf, is that you get guys from all over who, meet and just compete against each other. I think it's great. So I'd love to see more international players on the international team play good golf and make the President's Cup interesting.
Yeah, I would agree. So, Cud, let me ask you, what's your interest level coming into this weekend for the President's Cup?
I'm excited. I mean, anytime the United States is playing anybody,
That's
ready.
right.
But yes, Hunter. It's kind of like a minor league deal right before of course the Ryder Cup and all that, which is probably my favorite tournament.
Doesn't get any better.
No, you just can't beat it. But no, I'm excited, and like you were saying, Hunter, the future of USA golf is in incredible hands, especially with the players that have, moved on to the LIV, So I'm definitely excited, and hopefully we do win.
Yeah, I mean, I came off harsher than I wanted to be. I agree with Cud. Anytime USA is playing somebody, I don't care if it's freaking darts. I'm all in. Yeah. I'm all in for the USA prize. So I will definitely be watching. It just doesn't move the needle for me anything like the Ryder Cup does. Yeah. But I will be tuned in. So, let me ask you, what about you? What do you think? What's your interest level this week, and how many is USA winning by?
You're on mute.
Jaeger, you're on mute.
Come on. I'm going to start calling you Trent.
My bad. I'm sorry about that. My interest level is give me a call when it's time for Rome, Italy next year. That's my interest level.
Get out of here, man.
Respectfully.
Of course, respectfully. Always.
But if you came to me and you're like, hey, this weekend, would you rather watch college and NFL football or the President's Cup? I would say I would rather watch football. And it's nothing against the President's Cup in the USA or anything like that. But if like next year you came to me and like, hey, would you rather watch NFL and college football or the Ryder Cup? I'm watching the Ryder Cup every time. And that's just, how I feel about it. And in 2026, in the summer of 2026, I'm just going to turn off my phone for a month when the World Cup is here in North America. You won't hear from me. You might see me on ESPN just streaking across a soccer field, but
Jaeger, I got some great news. Excellent news. You don't even have to wait till 2026. There's a World Cup, son, in 2 months. 2 months, son. There's a World Cup.
I'm talking about like with the US, like in the USA, playing with the USA. Like
they still give out a trophy even in Qatar. They give out a trophy, and you know who's going to win that trophy? The dadgum US of A, baby. We're doing it.
Hey,
maybe. No, obviously, no. I'm talking about obviously. I'm very excited for the World Cup in Qatar in November, but I'm talking like in 2026 when the World Cup is here in the United States. I better not be getting a phone call, a text message, anyone asking me to go into work, anyone asking me to do anything. If I happen to be married by that time, I'm going to tell my wife, hey, just like go do whatever you want.
Can you imagine that conversation?
Like,
hey, baby, I know. I know you've got plans.
I'll be back in a couple of weeks.
But for this month, right, this like 5-week stretch, just don't talk to me.
Somalia.
Just leave me alone.
Hunter, is the President's Cup overseas this year, or is it here in the States?
It's in Charlotte, North Carolina at
oh, that's right.
place JT won the PGA.
Yeah.
What's it? Quill Hall.
I didn't know if it would be a middle of the night kind of watch thing.
No, it's over here. It's
like
over
we
here.
did that year when me and you watched President's Cup and
Honorbon missed that with 2-footer on the last hole.
That was brutal, man. Brutal. Okay, Hunter, let's move past that and let's get to this small snippet here, and then we got to go. We've had a debate, and I'm not even as passionate about it. I just think I would rather have it. The debate between who would you rather have between Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. I am in the Shohei Ohtani corner. Jaeger's with me, and I think Cud and Hunter are in the Mike Trout corner.
So let me just say something.
Give you the floor.
This is assuming health. That was the question. if you assume a healthy season, available all 162 games, who would you rather have? And I'm going Mike Trout, and I got some numbers. Okay. So I'm going to start with the most absurd stat. Okay. So Mike Trout, I'm going to throw away. All these numbers are throwing away his first season. It was like a Josh Young call up, 40 games at the end of the season. He was 19 years old, not counting that. Okay. His worst OPS in his 11-season career is 939. He won the MVP that year. His worst offensive season, he was a most valuable player in the American League. His worst season, most valuable player. All right. So that's a pretty good place to start. You know you're getting a baseline MVP guy as a floor. That's pretty good, if you ask me. Okay. His career OPS, is over 1,000. Career. Average, over 1,000. All right. This season is, if you took his worst, I'm going to go through this. His worst slash line in his career, you take his worst average, his worst on base, and his worst slugging. It's 276 average. That's his worst of his career. 364 on base and 550 slugging. His worst slugging percentage in his entire career is 550. That's an OPS of 914 if you added together all of his worst stats through his career. Worst. So I guess what I'm saying is, as a floor, you're getting one of the best players to ever live. And as a ceiling, you are getting the best player to ever live. So I understand that Ohtani does it both. He just does neither of them anywhere close to as well as Mike Trout does half of it. And hear me out. Ohtani's great. You know what his slash line is? 268, 358, and 894. Okay. 268 is about league average this year. That's not bad. Okay. But where he gets it is home runs. He has a lot of power. He has 34 bombs. That's ninth in Major League Baseball. That's good. That's really good. He's a top 10 power hitter. He has the 46th best average isn't that great of a stat. 9th best OPS. That's good. He's a very good hitter. He's also a very good pitcher. He has the 16th best whip, the 7th best strikeout, or 7th most strikeouts, and the 7th best ERA in baseball. That's very good. Unfortunately, he's only pitched the 46th most innings, so he doesn't pitch that many innings because he hits. Okay. So he's very good. He's probably the second most, if you could draft all of Major League Baseball for one season, I'd pick Mike Trout and then I'd pick Shohei Ohtani. So I'm not saying Ohtani's not any good. But man, you're going to pass on the best hitter to ever live because you got a guy who's top 15 in the league in two things. I mean, come on.
I don't know about top 15 in the league in pitching, Hunter. I mean, so you took all my stats away, so you named all those. But if you're going to give me a guy that's going to bat 270 average, hit top 10 home runs, 34 home runs, whatever he has this year, he's 13-8 on one of the worst teams in baseball as a record.
Yeah, he's got a 2.43 ERA. It's incredible. ERA.
He's gonna hit 34 bombs, and the next night he's gonna go give up 1 or 2 runs to whoever, and the next night he's gonna go back and hit again and hit 270, and then 5 days later he's gonna pitch and go shut out another team. Mike Trout can't do both. Now Mike Trout's probably the best baseball player of our generation, as in
ain't no probably to it, Bob.
Yeah, he is. Well, I don't know, man. He's been hurt a lot. I mean, he's been hurt
for 2 seasons. The first 8 years of his career, he played every game.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you jump in here in a minute, but my whole thing of it is, if you're gonna give me a guy that can do both, you're gonna give me a Deion Sanders that can lock you down as a corner and then go throw 300 yards against you as a QB. I'm taking that guy. I mean, just say Deion Sanders could play quarterback. I mean, that's just what it equates to me. I mean, I don't know, man. If you can do both, I'm all for it. I think that's one of the most. We'll never see another Shohei Ohtani, I don't think. I mean,
he's
unreal. So go ahead, Dave. I'll let you jump in.
I'm taking Ohtani 10 times out of 10.
My man.
And I mean this, like, when it comes to Mike Trout, I mean this in the most respectful way possible.
Of course, respectful.
He can absolutely knock the leather off the baseball at the plate, which I could not do at his level. But when it comes to playing outfield, the only difference between me and any normal MLB outfielder is that they can throw from the outfield to home plate in the air. Other than that, I could absolutely do that job.
We all just need to ignore that comment.
Listen, I mean this respectfully. I'm a great baseball player.
Shut up.
Oh my!
I'm serious.
I can't argue be on your team if you're spewing this nonsense.
No, I'm just playing like.
Jaeger, that's irrelevant. Move on from your own skills as a baseball player and get back to Mike
All
Trout.
I'm saying is
Shohei
Ohtani threw a 100-mile-per-hour sinker the other day,
Yes.
and then turns around and can just hit dingers all night long.
Trout
The
can't-
guy is like the biggest anomaly to baseball since Babe Ruth, and it's not even close.
That was 100
Like
years.
Mike Trout was awesome. And he was great, but everyone else was like, okay, like you had him and you had freaking Bryce Harper. And now you have I would go as far to say is,
You know who's still great?
I would
Mike freaking Trout. He's
I
still
would go as
amazing.
I would go as far to say that I'd rather have Aaron Judge than Mike Trout.
That's a terrible take, Yeg. On that note, Yeg,
He has 57 home runs
for
this
this
year.
season, yes, but as a whole, no.
No, I'd
I'm
rather take
gonna
Aaron
let
Judge.
you give a closing argument here, and we got to wrap things up. But Yeg,
Yeah.
I appreciate you going to bat for me, as I agree. I'd rather have Shohei.
Look, I went to an Angels game like a month ago, and Ohtani, dude, he's just built different.
He's unreal. So go ahead, Cud.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Ohtani's incredible to watch, and he's, a very skilled player in a lot of areas. But to me, the numbers are just right there, right for everyone to see. I mean, you're going to tell me you're going to get one of the best baseball players ever at his worst and be a runner-up or win MVP. I mean,
That floor is so high.
That's just I mean, if I'm starting a team and I'm looking at that, and of course you're guaranteeing health.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. I mean, and not saying Ohtani's a horrible pick or anything, but I would just rather have Mike Trout. I mean, the guy's just ridiculous when he's out there.
Didn't
And
Ohtani win
has
MVP last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And was that his first year in the league?
No, his first year was 2018.
But he was hurt his whole first year or 1 year. Why?
Maybe. He was pretty bad at pitching for a while.
Yeah.
He got off to a bad start pitching. I do remember
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
here's the problem that I have. This will be the last thing I say on it. The problem that I have with the whole MVP debate between Judge and Ohtani, or this debate we're having with Trout and Ohtani, is that the comeback is always, well, he does both. Well, he does both. Well, I guess my question is, he's obviously great at both. So this season doesn't really apply, but he's not always going to, people have bad years.
Yeah.
I mean, at what point does him pitching become not as much of an asset? I mean, right now, he has the 7th best ERA in baseball. That's amazing. If he has the 20th best ERA in baseball, is he still is that still that? You know what I mean? You can't just use, oh, well, he does it both as the trump card always, right? Otherwise, guys, I mean, heck, put Judge out on the mound. I mean, he can pitch. Surely he can get a ball across home plate. He won't do it very well, but if that's the trump card, oh, well, he does both. He doesn't both. He doesn't both. Then the discussion's impossible. And
just so rare to see, though, man.
of course it is. Of course it is. I just
But
think
I will back rarity does not
yes, that's what I'm
to
saying.
Value.
Wins, yeah.
But that he's so good at both.
He's incredible.
He's so good. I'd rather have Ohtani. Respectfully.
Respectful, of course.
Mike Trout, Ohtani, everybody else. That would be my draft order.
Starting a season next year?
Next year. If I'm starting a team. Now, obviously, if you have
guarantee hell.
Guaranteed
I don't know,
health.
man.
Not taking Trout if we can't guarantee health.
There's a couple guys up there that I think are starting to intermingle with that top 5.
That's just absurd that you have a
us
couple
having that
guys you take over.
You got Ohtani, you got Trout, you got Judge.
Run out of time.
You got that guy that's 6'10" with the Pirates, who is just an animal at
O'Neal
shortstop.
Cruz. He's hot garbage. He bats 230.
I wouldn't call him hot garbage, but he's not playing well. I would not put him up there. I just want to say
You have Tatis, you have Machado. I mean, you got a bunch of really good players.
Not even close to
Yeah.
Ohtani
Not
and
even
Trout.
close.
But what I will say is Ohtani and Trout probably the best 2 players in baseball, and the Angels.
And the Angels are still bad.
That's embarrassing.
They're still
Yeah.
horrible.
On that,
that I think more than anything, like if you're the Los Angeles Angels, you need to sell the team.
yeah, that's
Like
just
you have two of the best baseball players to ever step onto a field, and you can't make the playoffs.
There's a real chance in our lifetimes we won't ever see somebody better than either of these two guys.
No.
That's true. They have the same record as the Rags, and they have Trout and Ohtani.
Hey, what's the score in that game?
We're down 2-1. What's then? So on that note, the Rags suck. That is the end of our pod. 903 Sports.
Shocker.
Next week. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see y'all soon.
Wait, what about Trent's question?
I think that's an off the pod question, Yeg.
Trent, have a question?
Good.
Off the pod. Thanks everybody for
Goodness
listening.
gracious.
Until next time.